The honourable member for Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry.
The member opposite seems to have a real bad case of political amnesia because he always wants to change the focus and forgets that it's actually not for now, it's hopefully coming in short order, a Conservative government in office. It's actually 9 years of this Prime Minister and his party in power. So he talks about history lessons, Stephen Harper this. He goes back and even talks about probably John Diefenbaker. I'm surprised he didn't invoke Sir John A. Macdonald, blaming him for this latest scandal that they're under. But I want to go back just a little bit shorter than that, when this Prime Minister and the NDP Liberal government came into office. And they said, quote, from their 2015 election platform, I want to read, quote, Liberals will also make government information open by default to all Canadians, unquote. So he talks about the high standard that he's holding his government to, and he says anybody that questions otherwise is a radical or fringe or an extremist. My question is very simple. That was what he ran on when he came into office in 2015. Does that mean he's going to vote for the motion if he said he's got, quote, such high standards he holds himself to?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Madam Speaker, you know, I was with the Prime Minister when we were in third party, where he talked about things like proactive disclosure, and we in fact put in proactive disclosure even before we got into government, Madam Speaker, for members of Parliament, and I know the member will recall that. As a government, we have consistently been very much transparent and accountable, Madam Speaker, for the many different programs that we have brought in, even when it came through the pandemic, Madam Speaker, where governments around the world had to develop and promote and spend a great deal of money. Wherever the opportunity is there to ensure that we can have the documents that are required at one point or another, the government has been bringing forward the information in a reasonable way.
The
honourable member for Montcalm. Madam Speaker, with all due respect to the Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader, he cannot deny that the Office of the Auditor General of Canada published a report with really damning conclusions and findings. There needs to be a significant review of the matter. Taxpayers and Canadians want accountability. They expect their elected officials to be able to shed light on scandals of the sort. Will he commit to granting us access to all documents?
Well, Madam Speaker, I have more confidence than maybe some members in regards to our standing committees. If, in fact, you have a standing committee that can be effective in building relationships and trying to get to the bottom of everything that has happened, I would encourage members to work with those that are on the standing committees that are the most appropriate in order to be able to see in terms of taking that deeper dive into the situation. I'm not trying to underestimate the seriousness of the Auditor General's report, Madam Speaker. I recognize it, as the government has taken direct actions, as it would have been expected for the government to do so, Madam Speaker. But just because the official opposition feels that they have to attach the word scandal in government on anything and everything that moves in Ottawa or across the country doesn't necessarily justify every demand that the Conservative Party wants, Madam Speaker. That would be likely into the hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of providing all the type of documents that they would want to see, especially if you factor in.
Resuming debate.